Hi everyone, I am the Chosen One Legend here with my co-host, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm Kye, also known as Vascarine.
And welcome to our podcast BunchaJokahs, but a sort of special edition because we're going to be talking spoilers on Xenoblade Definitive Edition Future Connected. So if you haven't played that, you might want to back out of here now.
Go while you can.
Yep, leave while there's still time. We're going to be going full spoilers. Hey! I understood that reference. But yeah, we're going to be starting talking just about our feelings on the game and maybe some speculation about what it could mean. So straight away, Kye, what do you think about Future Connected as an overall package?
It was a good time, I think is the way to put it. You know?
Yeah.
I'm happy with the content that they gave us because they didn't need to do that, and they did. So.
Yeah. As I said in the podcast, we would have brought it without this day one anyway, so the fact that they're even adding any new content without charging it as extra DLC is
it's nice.
Yeah, because they could have even have just put this as DLC and we would have bought it happily, I feel. So
pretty much, yeah, I would have bought it no matter what. I'm just a sucker for Monolith Soft, clearly.
All the way. Doesn't matter what it is, they could release, a Candy Crush game and I'm there day one, so
oh hell yeah.
Oh man, but I feel pretty much the same as you do here. It's not Torna 2, it's not as big or as ambitious, but it's a neat little epilogue that adds some new interesting character development for Melia in particular.
Yeah,
because this is very much her story, not Shulk's. He's in it,
absolutely.
But, yeah.
I guess when we talk about the plot, whenever you want to do that, I'll have more to say on that.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, should we start with that then, if you want to?
Okay, so I suppose starting off with each of the individual characters you play as.
Yes.
Melia being the main character. I think her personality is good and she takes a good role here. In the main game, sort of for the middle, I'd say about 20% of the middle of the game, she's kind of the main character as the plot often follows behind what she's doing.
Yeah, she's even the only character besides Shulk, I guess, to get her own bit where you just play as her.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even Shulk doesn't get that, does he? So.
No, only at a very select time.
Yeah.
Fiora and Shulk both do at the very beginning of the game, and that's pretty much it.
Oh yes, yeah, very briefly, yeah. That's it. You know this game much better than I do, so.
Yeah, it's only for probably a couple minutes though. But anyway, Melia does a great job as the main character. She's kind of carried over her personality from the main game as being sort of half confident in herself, but also half sort of shy. You can see that being brought over into this, and you can kind of just see her character develop a little bit further, which is nice to see. Yeah,
there's no big groundbreaking changes for her. They're all in the main game, I think. But it's a nice cap off to her story, and it ends. I mean, straight up would say it ends with her, officially taking the throne, I guess, and that was a really nice ending for her, I think.
Yeah, it was a good bit of justice considering how much the game shits on her in the main thing. So.
It was. I love how just before the credits, it lingers on the image of her smiling, and I was like, finally, Melia.
That was nice to see from her then. I guess the second main character then, Shulk. Shulk is on the other end of the spectrum. He is about as, he's as bland as cardboard at this point in the epilogue. I hate his in the main game, you see some great stuff with him. He develops through the story from being, really introverted and pessimistic. And he soon, learns to trust other people, tell them about what's going to happen in the visions. He unlocks sort of the Monado's power and sort of, he develops so much.
Yeah, but he does.
Then you get to the epilogue, and he's literally just there because he was the main character, but they left his real personality at home.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I still liked him in this game. I think he felt like Shulk still, I guess, to me. He just didn't have much of a... Right. Yeah, he just didn't... And Adam Howden, did a good job, I think, as he does.
Yeah,
but
of course.
He just didn't have much purpose to the plot, really. He was just there to be support for Melia, I guess.
Yeah, I noticed, because I started paying attention to it as soon as I caught on. In these cutscenes, you'd have Melia taking the focus, should be saying or thinking something about something that involves her. And then Shulk would just be standing behind her and he'd just go, yeah, that's right. You can do it, maybe, or he doesn't do anything himself, and it's fine that he's not the main character. I don't mind him being secondary, but he just doesn't do anything. I don't know.
I feel they did a bit. The closest we got was him with the Monado at the end, and its ability to, when he upgrades it, to make the Fog Beast vulnerable. But that's really the only story thing he does, per se.
Even then, though, that's tied so little to his character, because it's he doesn't even really react to it. He's just like, oh, cool, okay.
he's like done with it now. I've done my story, mate. It's my emotions are over now.
I wasn't expecting loads from him anyway, because it's clear that his story's complete, but we didn't hear him mention anything about what it was like for him, what the new world is like. You don't hear anything from him.
I will say I did quite like his heart-to-heart with Melia in Alchemoth, which is right near the end. I don't know if you remember that one.
What was involved in the heart-to-heart?
It was just him and Melia standing inside Alchemoth looking at the portrait of Bionis.
I remember doing that one.
Talking about basically the final battle. And, I like that. I do like that his relationship with Melia, it's very much... It's natural now, I think. They sort of... They've come to that conclusion now where there's no longer that sort of awkward romance thing between them. That's sort of past now. She's accepted it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they just seem they just seem like natural together now, which I do quite like. It felt nice to see them that way, I think.
For sure.
But yeah, he's definitely not the highlight of this. If you're a massive Shulk fan, that's not a reason to play this. So.
No. However, if you are a massive Noppon fan, you're in for a treat. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
You want to start
Kino and Nene, yes.
Yeah.
Noppon have not been much better than this, I don't think. They are amazing characters.
They deliver a great sort of perspective on things. As I said in the podcast, they sort of serve a great role as sort of innocence when you didn't have that in the original. The original was very mature in its cast, and this kind of provides a new perspective on things with the kids.
It does, because even though Ricky was sort of like a bit of a silly one, you begin to understand that he's actually more mature than he comes across in the game. So even though he may look on the surface very silly, he's actually more of an adult character than you first realise. Whereas these are actual kids, so it's a big difference, and it really did bring a lot of heart to this game, I feel, with them.
Yeah, and to be fair, on the note of Ricky, I kind of feel like this epilogue gave Ricky more character development than the main story did.
I know what you mean, it talked about him a lot, and just the fact that he adopted Kino as well. That was
especially
a really nice
in heart-to-hearts. They talk about him as a character, and they're like, and Shulk and Melia learn some new stuff about him. And I'm like, that's cool. They've actually referenced him. It was nice to see.
And they talk about Oka a lot too, and how she's a very, very stern mother. So
it was cool to see.
There's a lot of good humour with them as well in general. Noppon are always funny, but I found myself laughing out loud a few times. It was good.
They were great sort of relief as characters from everything else. Of course, a lot of sad stuff happened in the main game that's very much so carried over into this with Melia, but they provide some decent sort of clarity. They provide a fair bit of just innocence on what's going on. They're just like kids.
Yeah, they are, and they have a lot of their relationship with each other as like a brother and sister is a really nice.
It's a
cool very nice dynamic. And just in general, it's when I first saw them, I was like, okay, we're getting 2 more Noppon for party members. But then when you actually play it, I'm so on board with this decision. It was really good. It was a really good idea. And
I was also skeptical at first, and they do a great job of things.
They do, yeah. So what about the actually another big character, of course, Lorafia.
Excuse me?
Did I say the wrong name? Tyrea! Damn it!
Tyrea.
Damn it! I knew I was prepared.
Right.
Can I sit in the Xenoblade timeout corner now?
Yeah, I was going to say. Alright, so Tyrea, oh my god, I'd say arguably she's a big highlight in this, honestly.
She is. Yeah.
In the original game, she does almost nothing. She's an assassin for a little bit, and you see her in a little side quest at the very end of the game where they help, the party helps to kill Lorifia.
Yeah, which I never. I've never even played myself. Actually, I've never done that one.
It's pretty standard. It's just that they find Tyraya wiped out. They go and they eventually wind up in Machna Forest, where you learn Monado Purge, and you have to kill Lorifia because she's turned into a Selefia. So
Lorifia. Do you mean Umea?
Oh, I do actually. Yeah. God damn it, I've messed up too now.
We've both done it.
Damn it.
Okay, we're even, perfectly balanced. As all
anyway, though, Tyraya's character in the original was kind of dumb, though. She was just an angry person who tried killing Melia, and that's really it.
Yeah, and that with the side quests, because I did watch Chugga Conroy play it, they set up some interesting points about her, but they don't really explore it too much. No,
she just sort of leaves and
flies away.
And the really interesting thing to note actually is at the end of that cutscene when she sort of flies away. Right, I think it was Ryan or someone's like, "Oh, you're just going to let her go?" Yeah. And I think it's Dunbound that says "Don't worry, I'm sure we'll be seeing her again at some point, but we're not sure when." Yeah. He actually alludes to Future Connected in that. Yeah. He says that they're going to meet her again, but they don't know when or where. So
that's really cool. Yeah. So and she was.
You could speculate that the epilogue story was always intended to be a thing. Who knows?
It's all connected. They knew the future then. The future connected. You see where this is going. Yeah. That was cool though. That was and she's definitely a very interesting character in this, and an interesting counterpart to Melia.
Yeah, they put things into her perspective, and they catch up on what she's been doing, the experiences she's faced, and it really helps the player sort of feel more sympathy towards her. They can sort of understand what she's gone through, and you see a lot in Heart to Hearts with her, because there's a couple of Heart to Hearts.
There's two at the end. Yeah,
she expresses that she was only following her mother's orders, and she doesn't really know who she is as a person. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic that they didn't, divulge too much into, but it was nice to see nonetheless.
It was, yeah. I didn't, when they first showed Future Connected, I didn't even think of Tyraya, but then, of course, it makes perfect sense, and they did a really good job with her character. It was great to see her
take more of a positive role.
Yeah. It was a really nice dynamic with her and Melia. And I like how they ended on that level as well. That was a really nice ending for them both, I think.
Yeah, it was a positive ending.
Let's talk a bit about the Fog King and the Rift, because really we don't know too much about it. Even
and I hate that.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I guess they sort of mentioned Shulk at the beginning that it could be to do with this being a new world, so it's just instability.
Speculation.
Yeah. So on the one hand, I like this idea that we can speculate about it, but I feel like they should have given us something, at least hints.
Yeah. I don't know, for the entire thing when I was streaming it, I was just saying the whole time, I wonder what this Fog Beast King is. Surely that's not going to be the final boss. Surely there's going to be more to this. There's going to be a twist that really throws me off.
Yeah.
And it never happened. It was who were our two antagonists in this? You had Gaelgar, who did nothing. Well, no, he did some stuff, but it was clear that he was a villain from the offset. That was no sort of... There was nothing to suggest otherwise.
Then again, let's be fair, Xenoblade, with Dixon's many hints, has done that before.
Yeah, but Gaelgar was...
But this is definitely...
He's dumb.
I kind of...
I don't know.
I found his second quest a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
That was
kind of.
But it wasn't... Yeah, I
wasn't a huge fan of his character.
I like the concept of him as just interesting dynamic to all the pure-blooded were being very elitist, and now there's this reverse one who blames the pure-bloods.
I liked the role reversal, yeah.
I think that was an interesting concept for a character. I just think they maybe could have done a little bit more with it, or been a bit more nuanced with it.
The execution wasn't great.
Yeah, but he's still an interesting thought to bring up, and an idea that I hadn't even considered before, so...
Yeah, I think he works as a side villain, to be fair. I was just praying non-stop that he wouldn't be the final boss.
Yeah, he comes out and absorbs the Fog King or something.
Yeah, I was hopeful, so that's good.
But
and the Fog King himself, I mean, what do you think?
He was fine. It was just... I guess you sometimes get these stories where the fight isn't about the problem itself, it's about the characters and how they develop from it. So this isn't about a specific antagonist, it's about Melia accepting to lead her people again, you know, and to actually gather those who have been spread out. So I don't think it's a big deal that it wasn't much of a character or really anything, but at the same time it does lessen it a bit, where you've got like Xenoblade's the main game, the stakes feel so high fighting this god, and now you're just fighting smoke, you know.
Yeah, I really wasn't a fan of the Fog King myself. I mean, he just... It isn't anything. There's no... I mean, pun intended fully, there is no substance to it. Like, the character is kind of just, like, you know... they're like, oh, there's this Fog King from a rift, and you know, they go and fight it, and then they return and eventually beat it. But
I was interested in what it could mean, but it doesn't mean anything that we know of.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's setting up again, but it means that as a standalone story, this kind of suffers.
Yeah, we'll get into speculation maybe at the end, but I do think it had some interesting connotations maybe for the future, but it's not anything strong in this game.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I don't think it matters too much, because I don't think the story was ever about the antagonist. I think it's always just been meant to be about Melia, you know, gathering her people. But at the same time, it didn't leave much of a strong impression.
Yeah, no, I just felt like there was no real opposing force going on at all. It didn't feel like there were many stakes at all.
No, there were some great... I think there were some, like, good stakes moments, I think. Like, when they attack the... what's the... Grandel. Grandel, that's it, yeah. When they attack that, I think that was a cool scene.
Yeah, but like overall, there is no sort of imposing force that they're chasing after. Really, like there's no character to be had there.
Yeah, so. Yeah. That's one thing where it definitely shows that it's not Torna 2. It hasn't got this massive story.
Like, when you compare them to, like, you know, I was thinking, like, comparing it to great villains, you know, Egil and Jin and Malos, like characters like that all stick out in my mind as they are amazing antagonists that do a great job.
Yeah, this game doesn't have
there's
that.
Just nothing here. There's literally nothing.
Yeah.
And the entire game, I was saying, like, oh, well, it seems like the Fog King's going to be the final boss, but I'm waiting for that plot twist, and the whole time I was saying to myself, I'm waiting for the plot twist. When's it going to happen? There's going to be something that blows me away. And then I beat the final boss, and I got back to the title screen and stuff, and I was just like, is that it?
Yeah,
is there anything else actually here, or that's really it?
Yeah, I felt the same.
Don't be leaving very underwhelmed.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it overall, the story, but I think it was fine. It served the purpose of the characters very well. There just wasn't much, you know, narrative-wise.
Yeah, when you look at sort of, you know, the original, like, Xenoblade story, when you look at Xenoblade 2's story, all of that kind of stuff, they're amazing, and this just wasn't amazing as a story. It was just fine. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess as something that was just added to the main game as a little epilogue, it doesn't bother me too much, I guess.
No, it's
particularly
cool.
Which I guess now we'll get into the gameplay, and that's one thing I found it just like the main game. It was a joy to play, I found.
Yeah, it was very similar to the original, of course. Very few changes, and I kind of like that they put you in at a very high level because, of course, you shouldn't really be playing Future Connected unless you're a veteran with the game.
No.
So the fact that you can jump straight into things is great to see. I
don't know about you, but I feel like it's going to be weird going back to the main game and starting off with just Shulk and like 5 arts and whatever.
I have heard a couple of people saying that they kind of got whiplash from having such a drastic change, but I don't mind because I always love the beginning of games the most. So.
That's true, yeah, it's fun, that build up. But it is nice, it starts you off, and I mean, you just go straight in there with this. It's all in one world, it's all pretty much, there's just Bionis shoulder and Alchemoth. But
yeah, I spent the entire thing like thinking, oh yeah, at some point maybe we need to quickly visit the new Colony 9 and see what's going on there.
Oh, that would have been cool. I didn't expect that, but that would have been nice. Yeah. But the only main difference gameplay wise from the main game is the chain attack is replaced with the Pond Spectre attack, which is pretty much the same thing, but it's kind of interesting still.
Honestly, I really enjoyed it as a new version of the chain attack. As much as I loved the original, it was so sort of dynamic, this new one. And it was kind of simple in a way, but I really liked it. I really liked it.
It was so, being able to use a chain attack, of course you could do this in a regular chain attack, but having those options of heal, attack and daze, and which one you chose, it definitely added some strategy to the game in an interesting way.
It was a level of sort of simplifying things, but it felt right. So.
Yeah, and like one particular thing I found was when I was fighting the boss of the Pond Spectre side quest, the level 78 one. A strategy I found, because I was struggling with it a little bit, was that I used the Pond Spectre daze just before I could see it was about to do its big attack, that Ignis Breath.
The Ignis Breath, yeah.
Yeah, and the first time I did that
thing.
Yeah, I hate it. It dazed it and it stopped it. And I've got a recording of this. The second time, I got it off just in time, so that he still did the attack, but because I'd started the Pond Spectre attack, it left everyone with 1 HP.
Yeah.
So I was able to just use my heal then and finish him off with that, and it was so satisfying. So.
That was like one of the main sort of end bosses for the future connected stuff. Like, one of the main side bosses. And
did you beat it after the main boss?
I did.
Yeah, I thought I remember hearing you going back to play it on a later stream. Yeah.
I had to do that because I've run out of time pretty much.
It was a long stream, very long.
Well, my streams were, day 1 was I think 9 hours and day 2 was 10 hours. So.
That's impressive. So I can't fault you for taking a break.
Cheers.
But it was a fun challenge, and there's nothing particularly new gameplay wise much. But if you like the main game, it's more than it's fun. So
yeah, it's great. And one thing I do like actually is the fact that Nene and Kino's arts are direct copies of Rhymes and Shulk.
Yes.
Now, I really like this because it means that, when you're going into this, of course, the game, the epilogue is short. It's not a long game.
No, it took me about 15 hours or so.
Yeah, and what I like is that you don't need to learn 2 entirely new characters with a new set of 16 arts.
No.
You can just jump straight back in with arts that you're already, familiar with, and they fill the roles of a tank and a healer, whereas Shulk and Melia are more attackers.
Yeah, definitely.
And it just feels great that they have that sort of place where you can just jump straight into it with something you're familiar with, rather than having to spend hours relearning stuff.
Yeah,
so
and
it was nice.
I like how it makes sense in the way, I think you said this to me, they could have perhaps learnt them from Sharla and Ryan themselves. And the fact that they've got these all silly names, versions of it, like Yogurt Stance that you said. So
Magnum Starch as well.
Yes, it's really good. It's a lot of charm to it, as Noppon always have. So that was nice. And Bionis Shoulder as a place to explore. There's not much of a new area in that it feels like a bit of a mixture of Torna and Gar Plains, I guess. But it's still beautiful and.
It looks great, especially during the night. Sort of the sky looks amazing. That's probably my favourite part of it.
Yes, and I like when you look down, you can actually see the sea.
That's a nice
really
touch.
Nice. Yeah.
I think you have a couple of different bits of scenery. You have the grassy sort of plains. You have plateaus. You've got the caves and the ruins. You've got even a marshland of sorts.
I liked how it connected to like the giants a little bit.
I loved that. I'm a big fan of the lore of the giants, which goes very under the radar. So I was a big fan of that. It
was a really interesting idea, even if they didn't go into it too much. The fact we were seeing these giant ruins that were obviously from them, and they gave us a bit of lore with how RFC the islands float with Hoverstone.
I was really confused about that at first, so I'm glad they provided some clarity.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it was interesting how they talked about perhaps it was. First discovered here, which is why, and mined from the shoulder.
Yeah.
Which is perhaps why the shoulder is left floating. So, yeah, that was cool.
For sure.
And yeah, that's most of it. The music we talked a bit about in the podcast, but the new tracks are very nice.
Oh yeah, they are. No doubt.
I think the area themes, so the Grandel and the shoulder. They were really nice. They didn't stand out to me particularly, but they were very fitting, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. They didn't stand out, but they were nice.
They're just very atmospheric, which is what they needed to be. So, and the battle theme, oh man. Whew.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. I found that when I played, because I'd finished battles too quickly, so I never really got to finish all of the track. I went home and I am home, obviously, but I went onto my laptop and I played the full version, and holy crap, the full version of that song.
It's really good, isn't it?
Like the chorus comes in later and everything, and I was legit just sitting there with a grin on my face. It was awesome. So
whenever I'm listening to music, that's at the top of my playlist now. So.
Yeah. I'm going to try to. I found with Torna, I over-listened to the battle theme and grew sick of it by the end of it.
Right.
So I'm going to try not to do that, but it's really good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It was really nice to see. The Fog Beast theme as well was really good.
Yes, and, that's nice. That's good.
Sort of the piano, it reminded me of sort of a mix between sort of Torna and just regular Xenoblade battle themes, and it kind of reminded me of the Guardian theme from
yes, the start
because of the frantic piano.
Yeah. That moment when you've been spot one, you knew you're in for a bit of panic. So it's
pretty much.
Yeah, that was good. And with that, unless you've got anything else to say, shall we speculate on what this could mean for the future with the Fog King and the Rift?
I suppose. What else is there? I think I like what should I say? I like how they stripped back a lot of things from the main game, such as the lack of skill trees. And the lack of affinity and trading and stuff. It was nice that, considering it's a small story, they didn't bring in those features. So
it reminded me of how Torna did that with the main game. It took away a lot of the more complicated customization elements of the original, just to have it a more concise, smaller package. And that definitely worked out. Yeah, definitely.
I think that's pretty much it from me, though.
Cool. Yeah. So the whole Rift, it's. The closest we get is Shulk saying it could be connected to this world being unstable, but we never see any other explanation of what it could mean, so we can only speculate. What do you think it could mean?
Well, as I mentioned in the podcast again, the art book mentions that, what was it? Like, this is going to be the new direction for Xenoblade in the near future, so, whether that would be Xenoblade X2 or if it's free, this is going to be setting up for something else. And I think that's a good thing, because as a standalone thing, although this epilogue was fine, the story left a lot of questions needing to be answered. So when you consider it on the grander scale of things, that this is going to be leading on to something good, I'm okay with it. Yeah,
that's true, because I mean, when we first saw the portal, before we got more story shown, I think a lot of us, the first thought was, is this connecting it to Xenoblade 2 somehow with a portal?
Yeah.
It almost reminds me. I know you said it reminded you of Smash, didn't it? But
it reminded me of Darkon. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing it reminded me a little bit of, partly the sort of weird warpy bit that you enter for the challenge room in Xenoblade 2, and also just when so Xenoblade 2 main game spoilers, but so you might want to end now if you haven't played that, but at the end when we see Klaus, and remember he's split in two, and the second part of him is all like warped with this portal sort of.
Yeah,
it reminded me a bit of that. So
fair enough.
Even if it's not directly going to connect to, I can only imagine it has some connection with Klaus and the creation of the world and something to do with those lines, but.
I always thought that the other half of him was just Zanza, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I wonder if this is caused by him dying, perhaps, somehow.
It could be related, for sure, yeah. I see what you mean.
Like the fact that you said in the artwork book they mentioned it's connecting to future projects. That has to imply to me that the future project would be connected to the story of Xenoblade 1 then, if they're connecting that in with Future Connected.
Yeah.
And the fact, I guess the name of it in general, actually, I didn't even think about that. Future Connected, if it's talking about the future of Xeno projects.
It definitely could be. I mean, the other thing you could theorise it means is Future Connected could it possibly indicate the future of Melia compared to other characters like, Tyrea, or the future of Alchemoth and its citizens.
Yeah, I do think
it
that's
could be alluding to that, but it could also be talking about the future of the series as a whole. So.
Yeah. It's very vague. I think it's interesting. You can interpret it in a few different ways, but I do wonder when we're going to see more about this at all.
Give it a couple years.
Exactly, yeah, because they must be working on something, but they're busy helping with Zelda probably as well. So
yeah, well, how Monolith operates is that they have all these different teams working on different stuff. So, for example, a couple of years ago, you'd find that you'd have. Following Xenoblade 2's completion, you'd find you have a team working on Torna, a team that probably worked on this remake, a team working on the new IP, a team that was working on something else, I guess. I don't really know. They have different teams working on all this sort of stuff.
Definitely, yeah. So who knows what's in the works or how long it's been in the works for. But it is interesting. Do you have any other ideas about what you think it means?
One thing to note for the, I guess, spoilers for the end of the main game. But, of course, Alvis tells the player, like, this is now like a boundless world. There's, all these different places to explore. And Alvis kind of expresses how big there are. And he says that there are other life forms in some stretch. So I think it could possibly be mentioning how there's going to be new places explored.
Yeah.
For this cast, but again, I'm not really sure. I don't feel like that's the direction Monolith Soft would normally go in, but I don't know.
Well, you make me think of something now, actually. What if the next Xenoblade game, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is set in Shulk's world, but a different part of it with new cast and new characters?
That's what I mean, it could be.
Yeah, and maybe the threat they're dealing with has to do with these rifts, and this is just a bit of a consequence of one appearing in the main game. So maybe
it definitely feels like the rifts are going to come up at a later point.
So maybe it's something that's happening at the same time with this new cast of characters. And that would be very much like Xenoblade 2 in a way, of how at the start it's very much its own characters, its own, world in a way. But by the end, even though it's separate, you see the connections. They could do a very similar thing with Xenoblade 3 if they did that idea, I guess.
And maybe even, if Xenoblade X2 is ever a thing, they could try and relate it in to that, but
that would be interesting. Because Xenoblade X seems like it's, even though Xenoblade 1 and 2 are somewhat separate, they're still got those connections, which X is a bit more iffy, but there's no stopping them from making it happen, because I didn't think 2 would be connected to 1 at all at first, so,
I'm very curious to see how things play out. I'm not sure what direction they're going to take the series in entirely. No. But I'm now a little bit more confident in the way of these rifts. I do definitely feel like the rifts are going to be showing up at some point. Yeah,
and I think I'm just so excited to see whatever they come up with next. I mean, even if Future Connected wasn't, a massive, big thing, or even if it wasn't to level of Torna, the fact that it's just some brand new Monolith content to keep me going to the next game, it's made me even more hyped to see what their minds can come up with for the next project. So
I'm so looking forward to it. We're both big fans of both games, and the third one, I don't even know how they're going to keep up with how good they've been doing so far. It's the future is boundless, Kye. Remember, there are many possibilities. God. So whatever they come up with next, I'll be there day one. So it's honestly, Xenoblade has become my favourite series of all time. Honestly, agreed. Definitely partly due to discovering the community and lots of friends around it. Of course, I wouldn't be doing this podcast without meeting you, for example. So so it's really been great meeting people through this series. But also just how fun they are to play in general, how interesting the characters and the worlds, and they each have their own lessons and their own sort of things they can teach you as well. So just to see what they come up with next it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be hype. I'm hyped. So unless you've got anything else to say, I think that's our discussion on Future Connected. I suppose, to the bottom line for things in Future Connected are, it's great content. It's no Torna, of course, in terms of extra content, but it's great to be there nonetheless. And it was a great time to play. Definitely, and we've gone on for almost as long as the main podcast. So that was great. But I've enjoyed talking. So thank you for talking about this with me, Kye. Yeah, thank you. So be sure to, if you're interested in this game, and you haven't played it, be sure to check out Kye's streaming on Twitch. I'll put a link to that in the description. And you're doing YouTube soon, aren't you? I'll be cutting up my gameplay into probably 10-minute videos to put on YouTube. But, that's still in the works, so don't expect it soon. But also, stay tuned for to this channel, BunchaJokahs, where we will be doing monthly podcasts about gaming news, and maybe a few other things like this as well, where we talk about anything specific that's caught our interest. Xenoblade, of course, is a
big deal, so we kind of had to. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you go try out this game because it's fantastic.
Agreed.
See you next episode. Goodbye.
Bye. Nah, that's cool. Yeah, it'll be good. Wait, did I turn off my recording? Oh, God.